How to copy a drawing from a photograph. The first thing you need to do is fold the photograph in half, not so the piece of paper is in half, but so the face is in half. So the crease needs to go down the center of the nose, the center of the lips, the center of the chin. So the piece of paper may not actually be folded in half, but the face will look like it's in half. Put the fold side to the middle, and then you're going to need to make some marks where the hairline is, where the nose is, where the lips are, where the chin is. You're going to put some marks, top of hair, the line at the top of the forehead, the hairline, where the eyes are, where the bottom of the nose is, where the top and bottom of the lips are, where the chin is. You put marks in all those places. The next thing you're going to do is you're actually going to measure how wide the face is and how big the eye is before you start drawing. If you eyeball it, you're not going to necessarily be as accurate. So then you're going to start drawing the other half of the face. When you have that established, you're actually going to flip it over. First you're going to shade it. What I did was I used a 6B pencil, which is a very dark pencil, and I put in all the darkest shadows. Then I took a 2B pencil and put in the midtones, and then I used a tortillon blending stump, which is just basically rolled up newspaper, and you use it to smear the shadows. Now I'm going to draw the other half of the face. So I flip it over, I line everything up, keep pulling it apart to check that everything lines up. And I'm going to now draw the other half of the face. And now you see that I'm doing the same blending and shading. Once you get to the blending and shading section, you actually just open up the picture that you're copying from, and you're going to keep referring to it as you add in the highlights, the midtones, the shadows. When you blend with a tortillon blending stump, one of the things you need to do is pretend you're putting on makeup and blend along the contours of the face. That way it won't look sloppy. And then you're going to use an eraser to correct for any mistakes. And that's how I drew. One of the things you're going to check for is that your finished picture has highlights, midtones, and shadows. If it's all one uniform gray, that probably means that you didn't actually shade it in properly. You may need to go into it with an eraser to pull out the highlights, and then go into it with a blending stump to blend it a little more, and then go into it with a 6B pencil to put in all the darkest shadows again, just to get that tonality. Using the tortillon blending stump is to put in all the darkest shadows with the side of your pencil, not the point. And when you go to blend it, pretend that the face is actually a three-dimensional sculpture of a face. And if that's confusing, feel your own actual face and how the curves of your own face feel, and try and mirror those, imitate those curves when you're blending. Okay, actually pretend that you're blending on a round form, not a flat form. So for the hair, I'm actually going to each curl, and I'm using a curved motion when I blend the hair in. Okay? And that's one way that you can make sure that your face looks three-dimensional as you blend. The same with the nose. The nose is its own shape, so it's got its own three-dimensional form. The center of the nose, that bulb, is round, so pretend that you're shading a sphere and use a curved motion when you blend it, and it'll start to really look three-dimensional. Okay. A picture has highlights, midtones, and shadows is to take your eraser and just make a little bit of a highlight wherever you see highlights in the original picture. So I'm looking and I see them on his nose, I see them on the tops of his cheeks, so I'm just using my eraser, and I see there's a little bit of a glint in his eyes, so I'm going to get that. Those little bits of white added back in are what help your picture to look more three-dimensional. What you don't want is to have it be uniformly gray. You need to have a little bit of highlights, a little bit of midtones, and a little bit of shadow. Final step would be to put in the darkest darks. Find out where the darkest shadows are and add those in last. After you're done blending, so that they don't get diluted by the Tortellian blending stump, so they get a very dark shadow to really punch out the details. So just look back and forth between your picture and the picture you're copying from, and you may need to continue to use the eraser and then continue to put back the details. And you're taking out detail, you're putting detail back in, and it never really is finished. Probably work on a picture like this forever, continuing to add detail. But this gives you a basic idea of how an artist would draw and shade a face and how to get the proportions accurate when copying from a photograph. This is the Helpful Art teacher, Rachel Winenberg, at the helpfulartteacher.blogspot.com.